So here n3 equal to n1 plus n2. So what are the parameter values we are passing here for n1 and n2 for this function? Those will be replaced here and calculate the n3 value. So finally, the n3 value will be returned. So this is about the function. When you want to call the function from the main program, first you have to write the function and have to be executed. Once the function is executed, you will get the message that function is executed. Then only you have to call the function. So how do you call the function? If you want to call the function, you have to write a separate program again, SQL block. So here I am using the declare n3 is a parameter value. In that one, I am using n3 equal to assigning the n3 value with the adder of 11, 22. What is the adder here? Adder is a function which you have defined earlier. So here I'm calling the function adder by passing two parameter values 11, 22. So whenever I specify the parameter values here, these parameter values will be replaced with the function parameter values. Ultimately, the n1 will become as 11 and n2 will become as 22. And the calculation will be performed and n3 will become as 33 and the 33 will be returned. So ultimately, the result of the function is 33. So now the n3 value becomes as 33. Now addition is output is 33. So this is the way how we can able to call the function. Is it possible to call the function any number of times? Yes, you can able to call with different parameters also. There is no problem. So if you want to execute this one, first what you have to do, you have to open the PL/SQL compiler. First, we have to open the PL/SQL compiler. Then you have to copy the code of function first, and you have to execute the function code, and then you have to execute the main program code. Now, first copy the function code. This is the function code. Place here and try to execute the function code first. We get a message that the function is created. So it means the function has been executed successfully. And we have to go to the main program and execute the main program. Now you select this portion only and execute this one. Now we'll get output as addition is 33. So this is how we can able to execute the function. Here the function can be called any number of times. For example, this time example how to display this message. If I use the function call again, for example, Control C. If I reassign the same value with the different parameters, I will say, for example, 29 and 30. So now let's check once again. There are two parameter values here. According to changing parameters, the values also being changed. So here what happened? I'm calling the same function more than one time. Here I have called with different parameters. Here the parameters are different parameters. Likewise, a function can be called any number of times. The advantage of basic use of function is the reusability is the main concept of the function. And move to the next one. We have the example to how to find the maximum number from given two numbers. So if you pass two parameters as x and y, then the parameters you have to compare the values and what are the bigger value that will be returned. So the function find max, the function, it will take two parameters and the return is the z numbers. So what will happen if x greater than y, then z will be replaced with the x, otherwise the z will be replaced with the y and if and return z. So this is the logic of the function. This will be executed depend upon the parameter values you are passing in the main program. So in the main program, the declaration part I am writing here, the declaration part. I'm writing three variables. I'm assigning the values for A and B and asking to find the maximum of A and B. Ultimately, it will execute the program and display the value. It is 45 is the maximum value. So for this, again, we have to use the function code and we have to replace the function code here and to be executed first. So invalid statement, where is the problem occurs? Sorry. We have to specify here the create or replace. We want to use create function also, we can use the name create function, no problem. So the function is created. Okay. Now once the function is created, what you have to do? We have to call the function. Okay. For this, we will use this code. Copy this one, paste here. So see, maximum of 23,45 is 45. So likewise, we can able to call the functions for any number of times and any parameters. So generally there are three types of parameters: in parameter, out parameter, in out parameters. So this is another example. In this one, what's the plan here is, I have to get the data of count of customers from the customer table, and it is to be stored in a variable, and the variable should be returned. So what will happen is, I will declare one variable called total, and the statement, the result of the statement will be stored into the total variable and the will be displayed. So what is the concept of here is, okay, here in this function, when I execute this function, what will happen? It will search for the table customer. The customer table exists. It will take how many customers are there, and that count will be stored in the total column. Okay. When you call the main program, what will happen? Whatever the total we have get from the function, that will be assigned to the variable C and it will be displayed. So, but the problem here is, if you want to execute this logic, first we have to see whether the table is available or not. Let's try once again. If possibility is there, Control C. I'll open the SQL and replace the statements here. Now the question will ask that the table does not exist. See here. So see here. Table or view does not exist because we have to create the table. That's why what you have to create first, you have to create the table. I will say the create table. Create table. I'll give the table name as total customers. Total customers. I will say the cust ID integer. Just simply way to create the table and try to insert few records. Insert into total customers. Values. Let's say 10, 1. Likewise, we can able to insert 2 to 3 records. Okay, now try to execute this code. So now it will, table is already existed. So what you have to do is give the create table name, the customers, I will say the 1. Our table is created and rows are being inserted here. Okay. Now use this function. So the problem here is table or view does not exist. What is the name? Total customers. The table name is the total customers. Mistake in the table name here. Total customers 1. Okay. Now try to execute this one function. So the function is created. Now what you have to do is you have to execute the main method. So what is the main method here? This is the main method. The main procedure is here. This block is being executing now. Now we'll get the output from here. 3. So this is the way we can able to find collect the data from the different table. So you can be able to specify the conditions also here. For example, if say here select count star into the total from customers, you can say that, for example, where cost ID greater than 11. So greater than 11. So here we see that 10, 13, 14, 15 is there. Greater than 11 means what will happen? 2 records will be considered here. So let's try to execute this one again, the function. So whenever you make changes to the function code, you have to re-execute again. No problem. That is the process. So here, execute the main method, main program again. So now we have only the 2 customers. Likewise, you can able to change the code. And next, move to the next concept, that is the recursive function. So what is the concept of recursive function? It's simple that if a function called by itself, it is called a recursive function. Generally a function will call from the another procedure or another PLSQL block. But what will happen if the function called by itself? It is called a recursive function. So how do you write the recursive function? See an example for the factorial of a program. So here we are taking 2 variables, the number variable and the factorial variable. So here return type is f, the number. So if x equal to 0, so what is the x here? The x is nothing but the parameter value. What is the parameter value you are passing? If x equal to 0, then what you have to do? We have to say f equal to 1, means the f equal to 1. Else f equal to x into factor of x minus 1. F into factor of x. If you want to, if you get some doubt here, just replace with m, no problem. N into factor of n minus 1. This is a formula. So see here, see this one. In this function factorial, we are calling the same function again here. So this is called the recursive, a function called by itself. So how long it will call? Till it reaches to the 0. It keep on rotating here. So finally, we are using the return f. So this is a function logic here. And the main program, main PLSQL block, I'm giving the num and 6 value. So what it means? I would like to find the factorial of the value 6. That's why I'll give the parameter value 6. So the factorial equal to factor of num. So here the DBMS output means the factorial value. So factor of num means, what is the num here? 6. The factor of 6 means automatically this n will become as a 6. And now n is not equal to 0, then it will go to the else block. So it means 6 into factor of 6 minus 1, that is 5. Again, 6 into 5 into factor of 5 minus 1, 4. 6 into 5 into 4. 6 into 5 into 4 into 3 into 1. Like this, it will keep on going. So let's try to execute the program. So here, the factorial of 6 is 720. Likewise, we can able to calculate the factorials. This is called the recursive function. Normally, we have to use different one for loop. For I equal to 1, or for I equal to n, I greater than or equal to 1, I plus plus, fact equal to fact into I. The simple way. If you want to write a normal way in a program to find the factorial, how can you write with the for loop from for I equal to, how can I the general statement for I equal to 1, sorry, for I equal to n, otherwise for I in n to 1, n to 1, for I in n to 1 means that I value from 1 to n. Then what you have to do? You have to find fact equal to fact into I. So what is the initial value of fact here? Equal to 0, equal to 1. The simple logic. So I will take the initial value of factor equal to 1. I use a for loop. So keep on changing the for loop. So n value become decreasing. So fact into I. So automatically we can able to find the factor here. So if you want, instead of using the for loop, we can use the concept of recursion to find the factorial. In the same way, we can able to find the Fibonacci series also. So next one, the last one. If you have worked with the function, but I won't like to use the function furthermore, then I have to use the concept of the drop function. So how to drop the functions means the drop function name. If you say what is the function name we have given here, the fact function. So you will say another drop function. Object fact, that's so sorry. Drop function, not the fact name, or the something wrong. I will check it. So this is a method to drop the function, drop function name. If you want to remove from your create a function from the database, but we are not using the database anyhow. If you use any function anywhere in the database, you can able to use the concept this one. But we are not using the database because we are using only with the SQL online compiler. So whenever you use the online compiler, the disadvantage is you have to, for example, I have opened the online compiler and create the table, insert the records, and log out and log in again. The records will be removed and the table also will be removed. That's why first you have to create the database and you have to create the table and you have to insert the record, then you have to create the functions. They will be applicable. Okay. So this is about the concept of functions. Next, we'll move to the concept of procedures. As we discussed in the last section, what is the difference between the procedure and function is? The procedure is similar to the function, but the procedure does not return any value, where the function will return the value. This is the concept of functions and procedure. This is the PLSQL stored procedure or simply a procedure, the PLSQL block, which performs one or more specific tasks. It is just like procedure in other programming languages. That's like a functions. It's just like a functions, but it should perform more than one task. Generally, function will perform only one task, where the procedure will perform more than one task. And function will return some value, and the procedure will not return any values. Basically, as we discussed in the function, here also there are three types of parameters: in parameter, out parameter, in out parameter. In parameter is for giving the input, out parameter is used to getting the output, and in out parameter is for both giving input and output the values. And next on the return statement, as you said that if you want to use the return keyword, you can use, but generally we don't use the return keyword because the procedure does not return any values. So how do you create the procedure? See here, create or replace the procedure. As you said, the replace means if the procedure name is already existed, the previous procedure will be replaced with the current procedure. So create or replace procedure name for the parameters, that is the parameter names, and is declaration part, and the begin, and the executable section, exception, and end the procedure. So I think we already aware that the general concept in PLSQL block contains three parts: declaration part, execution part, and exception part. So in this case, the procedure also contains as a general PLSQL block. It contains the declaration part, and in the point of beginning ending, we have the executable sections as well as the exception sections. We already aware what is the exception also. Exception nothing but an unwanted situation occur while executing the program. So if for example, if the executable section fails, what I have to do is nothing but the concept of exception section. So now the question. So first, what I'm doing in this program is first I'm creating a table with 2 columns because the online compilers will not support the table creation permanently. That's why every time I have to create the tables. So first I have to create the table, then I will insert some records in the table. So my concept is to insert the records after creating table. This procedure basically used to insert the records in the table. First I will create the table and I'm trying to insert the records in the table with the help of the procedure. So here the create or replace procedure, the procedure name is the insert user and the parameters are 2 parameters. ID is 1 parameter and name is 1 parameter. Both are the in parameters. When you say the in parameter, the user need to give the input. And he is begin. Now the question is insert into user info. So what is the user info? The user info is nothing but the table here. Insert into user info, values, which values, ID, comma name. What are the ID, comma name here? ID, comma name are the parameter values. So what are the values we are giving from the main program, main block? Those will be replaced in the procedure and they will be executed. They will be inserted to the table. So here, when they execute this statement, we'll get the message the procedure is created. Now we have to call the procedure as like a function. So at the begin, see, I'm using the insert user 101 Rahul. So as see here, see when you execute the point, this is similar to the function. So here I'm using insert user 101 Rahul. But the difference between the here both of them is when generally in the case of function, the result will be assigned to some variable. But here there is no assignment of output of the procedure because the procedure what will do, it will execute there itself and they will be replaced there itself. So there is no point of returns the procedure. So means whenever the main program main block calls, the point will go there and execute the complete the task and again come to back the main program. That's all. It will not return any values here. That's why we are simply calling the procedure insert user only with the parameter values. This is the insert of the parameter values automatically. So 101 is replaced into the ID and Rahul is replaced into the name. And the record will get a message. The record is inserted successfully. So first we have to create the table, copy this one, go to the SQL process. So execute the statement. The table is created. Now once the table is created, now we have to insert the records. So you say, first you have to execute the procedure. So I'll go to the procedure here. The procedure is created successfully. Now I have to go to the main program. In the main program, simple logic here. Just I'm calling the procedure, I pass in the parameters itself. So here, the record is inserted successfully. If you want doubt, if you have any doubt whether the record is being inserted or not, just go and select star from, what's the name of the table here? User info. Okay. Now see, you can able to see the record here. Likewise, we can able to insert the record. The same way you can able to update the data also. You can able to delete the data also. This is the way you can able to approach. It's the same way we can able to apply the conditions also here. So we are inserting the here. But if you want to, instead of inserting, if you want to delete the record, you have to use the statement here, delete statement. Or update, you have to use an update statement. For example, update name equal to so and so. Update user info, set name equal to so and so. Where ID equal to so and so. In that case, where we have to use these parameters. Okay. So these procedures can be useful for both insertion of any DML operation can be performed with the help of the procedures also. So this second example, the concept here is I'm just passing one parameter to the procedure welcome message is an in type parameter. It is a in type parameter. the begin. So what will happen when you use this procedure? Will get a message that welcome and the p name. What's the p name here? The parameter which we are passing through the main one. So I will say the parameter passing is algorithm class. What is the output here? Welcome message of algorithm class. Automatically the algorithm class value will be placed in the p name. So the p name will be placed here. We'll get the message welcome algorithm class. Procedure created, we get the message welcome algorithm class. So likewise, we can able to work with the procedures or functions. The basic difference between the function and procedure is function have the parameters, procedure have the parameters. Function have the return and procedure doesn't have the return. Procedure can be called any number of times, function called any number of times. One of the basic difference between the function and the procedure is the return type only. Function will have in, out, and in-out parameters, and procedure also have in, out, and in-out parameters. So then in that case, why we have to go for the functions whether you have the procedures? Means if you want to store the result of a procedure into another variable in the main program, you must have to use the concept of functions only, because the procedure does not allow the returns. Okay, this is a concept of functions and procedures. The functions are basically, as we discussed earlier, we have the built-in functions and the user-defined functions. These functions we can call it the user-defined functions. But the functions which we defined by ourselves is called the user-defined functions. But the functions we are earlier worked with the mathematical functions, statistical functions, string functions, character functions. All these are belong to the built-in functions. So where the functions which we are doing now is nothing but the user-defined functions. Okay. So what is the procedure? Simply say the procedure is similar to the function. The procedure doesn't contain the return type, but the function contains the return type. And what is the advantage of creating the procedures? Is simply that the reusability again. So whenever you create one procedure and you can able to call the procedure any number of times. There is the advantage of calling the functions, procedures. And moreover, when you divide the program into number of procedures, the diagnosis of problems is also very, very easy, because we can able to debug the errors very quickly through the help of this one as compared to the normal program. For example, my code have 3,000 lines of code, and it's too difficult to debug the errors. But if you divide the program into number of subparts called procedures or the functions, it is quite easy to debug for the errors. This is the concept of functions and the procedures. Do you have any doubts?
No, sir.
No, sir.
This section I'm recording the section. So once the section is completed, I will share the video through the link. Okay, Google Drive link. You can able to see the video if you want. I will, along with I can share the notes of functions as well as procedures also. Okay. Tomorrow we'll go for the new topic. That is the concept is called the triggers. So how do you work with the triggers?
Okay.